Good morning, everyone. It is Monday morning. Are you ready to kick off this week? We've got a bunch of stuff to cover today. Primarily, it's all about the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025. And this week, we're looking into Chapter 20 of their 920-page manifesto, folks. Their mandate for leadership, published this year, 2023, by the Heritage Foundation. And so we got a lot of stuff to cover about that. Chapter 20, by the way, is all about Veterans Affairs. The Department of Veterans Affairs. So yeah, we're looking forward to having that conversation this morning. We'll just tear it apart, go in and dig into the various words that are in there just to see what's going on. Okay, so let's go do that right now. Let me go back and present a screen, find it, and we'll just start talking right now. Okay. All right. So Project 2025, you can go to project2025.org, and if you want, you can actually download or read through this thing. Check it out. If you haven't checked it out, this is the most horrifying thing out there that has to do with American liberties. Liberties, period, for anyone in this country. It's a complete bastardization of what it means to have all the blessings of liberty that the Constitution that were guaranteed, right? I mean, it's a complete assault on those things. This is an authoritarian Christian nationalist, fascist thing that they want to do. They want to take over the entire legislative or the executive branch of the U.S. government. They want to take it over completely if a conservative wins the presidency in November of 2024. And as soon as they say, "So help me God," on January the 20th at noon Eastern time, then the plan is to hand off to this new conservative president this project, along with vetted people, trained, already been tested, and then everything's all set to go. They make sure they can get security clearances and all that kind of stuff. Roll in thousands and thousands and thousands of people, trained and vetted and ready to accomplish the goals of the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025. And if you don't think that's horrendous, if you don't think that's a big issue, well, let me just point out a couple of things mentioned in the forward. In the forward, folks, by President of Heritage Foundation, Dr. Kevin Roberts, who has a PhD in early American history. All right, but this thing is fascism right down the line. And if you don't believe it, go check out Lawrence Britt, Britt. He wrote a paper, published something in like 2003, 2004, I think it was, around that period of time. And there are 14 characteristics of fascism. What they want to do right here in Heritage Foundation is exactly that. It matches all 14 characteristics fully in spades. But what do they want to do? Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look at what they want to do. Now, before I jump over there to look at that, the first thing is I want you to know that if you go to the policy tab here on Project 2025 Presidential Transition Project page, this is a page developed by Heritage Foundation, by the way, Heritage Action probably. The policy agenda, you can go over here. There's a book, but I think it's still sold out. Sold out, folks. Go right here and you can download the entire manuscript right here and read the mandate. You can read the mandate, download the entire manuscript right there. Don't buy the darn book. Even when it becomes available again, don't buy it. They already got $22 million set aside in this project alone, just for this. And the number of participating organizations is going up, skyrocketing every week. It seems like there's more. Right now, there's 80 plus organizations that have signed on to this Project 2025, folks. It is horrendous. And it will impact every single American in this country. One way or another, it will impact every single American in this country, and not impact it in a positive way. Authoritarianism, it's all wrapped up in this thing. Fascism, it's all wrapped up in this thing. Christian nationalism, it's all wrapped up in this thing. Every bit of it. You think marriage equality is protected? Not if they can get their hands on that and make changes to it. They can do it. They can whittle away at it. Whatever. I mean, nothing's sacred here anymore with this group because their only objective is to impose their Christian nationalist view of the nation on the rest of the nation. And they've got more than 400 people have contributed to that Project 2025, the mandate for leadership, a conservative promise. Now, how does this arise? Just let me give a little background on how this arose, okay? Back in the 1970s, Heritage Foundation was founded. And when Reagan became president on January the 20th of 1981, which a little side note right there, I was actually in the military marching down the street when Reagan was sworn in. That's funny. But anyway, they handed off to him a mandate for leadership. And they were able to get about 2/3 of it accomplished in the first 180 days. Okay. 2/3 of that. Reagan had already bought into it. He knew what was going on. He had studied this thing. He had already agreed to this. So he accomplished about 2/3 of it in 1981 in the first 180 days. Okay. So they've been doing that about every 4 years, trying to create a mandate for leadership, something along the lines to hand off to a new president. They've handed it off numerous times, obviously, since Reagan, including to some Democratic presidential candidates and presidents. And even some of them, like Clinton, actually did fulfill some of the stuff that the mandate for leadership had laid out for them. So by come along to 2025, and I was back up about 4 years roughly, back when Trump was president. They handed off a version of the mandate for leadership to President Trump. Okay, handed it off to him. They were able to get some of it accomplished and stuff like that, and they did some things, and they put some stuff out there, made it happen. All right, so now let's jump up to this year, 2023. So Project 2025, though, in the interim between then and now, Dr. Roberts came on as president of Heritage, and he comes out of Texas, which is deeply Christian nationalist. Okay, if you don't know it, just they're down there. Go check it out. But anyway, so that's where Dr. Roberts comes from, and now we're taking this leadership role within the Heritage Foundation. That Dr. Roberts has now assumed that role over the past couple of years, and he came in with a plan. He wanted to take the mandate for leadership and turn it upside down and create an absolutely beautiful structure to it. It's very, very, very well organized. I mean, this thing is perfect. The only thing wrong with it is the content. That's the thing that's wrong with this thing. The structure is good. It's something that you can look at and go, look, this is actually a good way to do things. But you have to strip out all the words and just keep the outline. It's a very well thought out plan. I mean, they've got the training academies all set up in this thing. It's all here. You can go back over and look at the training academy right there, Presidential Administration Academy. They've already started vetting people to come in. If you want to go apply, I'm not telling y'all to go overload this system, but you know how it is. You can go there and apply. You can fill out this application, put your phone number in, get a one-time passcode, all that kind of stuff. You can do that. You can go in there and actually do it. And, I did. I just did it for giggles because I answered all the questions honestly. I did, and I got one email back says thanks for sending the application in, and haven't heard a single word since. That's been 2 months. 2 months ago. So I don't expect to hear back from them, but I'm just wondering what it would be like if all of us, everybody in the country, just suddenly applied for everything over there on Project 2025. Swamping the system. No, I'm not telling you to do it. Just go do your own research. Do your own research. Check it out. Okay. You can go there and check it out. So about Project 2025 right now, Project 2025, building on a conservative victory through policy, personnel, and training, the playbook training. Let me see what I'm looking for. Advisory board. They have over 80 conservative organizations right now have come together. Back when I first started looking into this, they were like 70, and they gained another 10, and it's over 80 right now. So anyway, that's all in there. But you can go to the policy right here, and you can actually, like I said, you can go download the mandate, read the thing, download the mandate for free. Don't pay $35 for that darn book, even though it's sold out right now. If it does become available later, they don't need you to add $35 to the 22 million. They got too much now. Okay. But you can actually download each section within this thing independently. And that's what I've done. Basically, I've gone through and looked, and you can download this thing here, open up this whole section, a note on Project 2025, the forward, which was written by Dr. Roberts, and then each chapter is downloadable independently. And the reason I'm saying that to you is that if you're familiar with how the PDF system kind of works. If you click over on the forward by Dr. Roberts, and I can go up here to the little magnifying glass and type in a word, let's say like gender, and it'll take you right straight to each of the references about that. There are 10 references to gender. It could be transgender, anything like that, but got gender in it. And there are 10 references to gender in the 17 pages of the forward. Yes. All right. And this, by the way, is paragraph number 2. And this is the one I like to start off with, just to show you what this is all about, folks. Look at America under the ruling and cultural elite today. Inflation is ravaging the family budgets. Drug overdose deaths continue to escalate, and children suffer the toxic normalization of transgenderism, with drag queens and pornography invading their school libraries. That's where I like to start. This is paragraph 2, third sentence in the second paragraph. Already going after this. Now look, what they do in this kind of thing, first thing is, let's just kind of do a little editorial on this. For one thing, they only consider left-leaning people to be the ruling and cultural elite, because, I mean, God forbid that you include McConnell in there, right? Or whomever on the Republican side, or Dr. Roberts for that matter. Ruling and cultural elite today. Right. Yeah, no. This is deflection and deflection and deflection. Now, what do they do in the rest of this thing? Inflation is ravaging the family budgets. We know inflation is pretty much, I mean, a McDonald's burger costs $16 now. Yeah, we know the inflation's going up. But we also know, it's coming down, but it's still, overall, the trend has been up. Drug overdose deaths continue to escalate. Yeah, we know that too. And it impacts every cultural, every socioeconomic status level in the entire nation. It's not just any particular one. And then they said, since those two things are true, then this next statement must be true. It's A plus A and B. If A and B, then C. Well, no, this one is not true. Children suffer the toxic normalization of transgenderism. Just put a stop right there for a minute. And what's that all about? They're trying to get you to see that if these first two things are true, then this other one must be as well, because you included it in the same darn sentence. That's what they did here. And that's just a tactic. It's a psychological tactic. But if you can get people to agree on two things, then obviously the third one must be true for those who don't think through these things and actually already inclined to believe the first 2 points. If you got this organization who's telling you about inflation ravaging the family budget, and you can see it on your kitchen table, and you got drug overdose deaths continue to escalate, and you know that in your communities, wherever you might live, and you see that, and then obviously, right? Now, this is me just saying this, but obviously, then children are suffering the toxic normalization of transgenderism, with drag queens and pornography invading their schools. Now, look, there's another part to this. There's another level of psychology involved in that one statement right there. They've always had a scapegoat, but they're always trying to protect the children and women from the scapegoat. They've always done that. I mean, I know what didn't start just in the 40s, but to give you an example, 1940s, 1940s, late 40s, early 50s, 1950s, that's when we started integrating African Americans into the military and not segregating them in separate groups, but they were integrated completely and wholly across the whole of the military. There was a huge pushback, and black people became scapegoats. And what was the target? You don't want those people around our people, our kids and our women. We don't want that to happen. They're all into this kind of stuff and that kind of stuff. And they just scapegoated the hell out of the African Americans because, they like their racist ways. That's what it amounts to. And then you've got, as long as you got the children in there and the women in there and stuff like that, you can really show how much patriarchy they have and misogynistic thinking that they are projecting. All that stuff is right there in that one sentence. Second paragraph, that's the third sentence in this second paragraph, okay? And then the other thing that's in here is transgenderism. For one thing, I don't know about you, but are you an ideology? You and of yourself? Are you an ideology? You're a person all by yourself. You have the blessings of liberty that are supposed to be yours fully and completely, but do you have them? Really? Some do, some don't, folks. Some do and some don't. But what is an ideology? Ism implies an ideology, okay, like conservatism, republicanism, liberalism, things like that. Communism, socialism, fascism, all those are ideologies that people they decide to accept that as their belief system. Christianity, Islam, those are all ideologies, all of them. They're all ideologies. You choose to accept those, or you're in a culture that demands you participate in those. One way or the other is still the same thing. But it's a matter of choice. However, being transgender or being who you are is not, you don't have a say in that. You are that. That's period. That's just it. That's just the way it works. Okay, so let's skip on down to the next reference here. We're going to go down to page 4. Okay. And this is just me typing in the word gender and gender identity, gender by itself. And this is page 4, bottom of page 4. And right here, the next conservative president must make the institutions of American civil society hard targets for woke culture warriors. Oh my God. Really? Do you not prefer to be enlightened than to be, kind of like Dark Ages? Just saying. This starts with, remember now, this was written by Dr. Roberts, the president of Heritage Foundation, folks. That person whom I have tried to reach out to and have a conversation with this person, but yet refuses even to acknowledge that I exist. He's just afraid of me or something. I don't know what the freaking deal is. He and Christopher Rufo, Matt Walsh, all those, Charlie Kirk, not a single one of them will engage with me. I think I represent a narrative that they don't want presented. That's probably what it is, folks. Anyway, so this starts with, right here, this starts with deleting the term sexual orientation and gender identity. Holy hell, folks. I'll tell you in a minute why I just said that. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and you go on down through here and then all the DE&I stuff, all the gender equality, gender equity, awareness, sensitivity. Deleting the word abortion, reproductive health, reproductive rights, and then here's the catch-all phrase that just absolutely sends me over the top. This is the thing this is the most unconstitutional statement that could be made in this document. And it's said twice here. This is the first occurrence. And they go, and any other term used to deprive Americans of their First Amendment rights out of every federal rule, agency, regulation, contract, grant, regulation, piece of legislation that exists. Wow. Wow. Let's tear into this one just for a second. I'll get to chapter 20 in a second too. But anyway, this is in the forward. Heritage Foundation is one of the most influential conservative organizations in the nation. And they've been working on it for 50 years. They got like 500,000 members, and they've got all these 80 organizations that are out there supporting them right now, working together collaboratively to implement this thing, this document. But here's the thing that just absolutely, it pisses me off. It ought to piss off every American in the country. And any other term used to deprive Americans of their First Amendment rights. Don't I have First Amendment rights? Do you have First Amendment rights? Are you protected under the Constitution? Well, they obviously think that we're not. Okay, that's the point of this whole statement right there. And all those words up here, the sexual orientation and gender identity, the SOGI stuff that was parenthetically stated there, the SOGI stuff, sexual orientation, gender identity. I mean, they've got right here what they want to do. They want to stop all those grants, the research projects that NIH does, the National Institute for Health. There are research projects over there that are actually studying the social determinants of health that impact all these various groups differently. If you're in one of these minority populations, then the social determinants of health for you will report a different level of thriving and wellness and care and well-being than for another group of people. Let's say like white majority Americans. Okay. Your social determinants of health will report something different than for African Americans, than for Latino people, than for American Indians, the indigenous people in this country. The social determinants of health are dramatically different depending on the group identity that you have. And if you've got multiple intersecting kind of identities, whether it's your gender minority, or whether that's just being a woman, or whether that is anything else, racial, minority or ethnic minority, or any of those population distinctions, those distinctive groups, then your social determinants of health report a different level of well-being and wellness and thriving for you. And it gets worse when you complicate all of them and start mixing them together. If you're Black and transgender, if you're indigenous and two-spirit, those things, those identities, they're trying to eliminate all of them and then stop all research into them because they don't even want to know that there's a problem. And if that doesn't absolutely piss you off on this Monday morning, it's Monday morning for me, just like 35 more minutes or so. But anyway, that's what they want to do, folks. And they're declaring that those things don't deserve First Amendment protections. And then they go further. Pornography manifested today in the omnipresent propagation of transgender ideology and sexualization of children. And I'm not going to read this. This right here is just, it's a pretense to intellectualism. Well, I'll read it for you. Okay. For instance, it is not a political Gordian knot inextricably binding up desperate claims about free speech, property rights, and sexual liberation, and child welfare. And it has no claim to First Amendment protection. What they do in this, just first freaking two sentences. What they do in the first two sentences in this paragraph on page 5. For one thing, that's always been a typical trope that has been used by those who wish to scapegoat another to maintain power. They did the same kind of scapegoating, as I said before, with African Americans when they were integrating them fully into the military in the late 40s, early 50s. And they started people were attacking them for all these reasons right here listed. You could go in and say, you could read this way. All right, this is me reading it this way. Pornography manifested today in the omnipresent propagation of, let's say, any minority you want to throw in there, and sexualization of children is not, and all this, and has no claim to First Amendment protection. You could do that. And it would be valid for that particular time because that's what they were saying. And they kept saying it. They learned that narrative works. It motivates people and plays on their fears, their trepidations, their anger. That's what it does. It's exactly that's the only reason for it, folks. It has no claim to First Amendment protections. And then they go on down through here saying that should be outlawed, like right here, should be outlawed. And then got public librarians and registered sex offenders if they talk about it in class or purveyors of it, telecommunications technology firms. Oops, let me get my cursor to stop scrolling. Telecommunications and technology firms that facilitate its spread should be shuttered. If you don't see this as being theocratic, authoritarian, fascism, and ultra-Christian nationalism, I don't know how to tell you otherwise, but somebody needs to smack you upside the head. Get your head out of your butt, okay? Because this stuff is real that they want to do. And if they get in, this will be accomplished. Now, let me just kind of jump on down through here really quickly. How are they going to accomplish that? First thing is, if you get a conservative in there, the very first thing they're going to have to do is implement what's known as Schedule F. Schedule F was something that President Trump did near the end of his administration, which made federal employees at-will employees, meaning if we don't like you, you can go, we'll replace you with one of our political appointees. That's what that means. They want to be able to take out those people who know their fields and know it well and replace them with political appointees. Now, if it starts out that way with a conservative president, then history tells us that even if a liberal president comes in later, that they'll still do the same kind of stuff because, it gives them more power. Either side will do it. But right now, the biggest threat to all of us is coming from conservative America and the Heritage Foundation and Dr. Roberts and, America First Legal with Stephen Miller and all that bunch out there. So what's going on with all of this? What's going on with all this? What's happening? Why? And how can we stop it? Well, one of the biggest things you can do to stop this thing, you know what that is? Go vote. Make sure you take your friends with you and go vote. Because if you don't vote, and you're allowing this stuff to take over our nation. And let me just jump around right now to something else, because I want to show you something that Dr. Roberts has been doing with the Heritage Foundation. So I'm going to go over and stop sharing on this page. Go see if we have any comments or anything next before we jump into all of this. Okay, we've got some people watching. Somebody thumbs up. Good. You can leave a comment over there too if you'd like. I'd appreciate it. I know that we have some people watching from our website as well as from LinkedIn, and those don't always report up here, okay? When you have the little drop-down thing with the eyeball, no, you don't always get that. So anyway, I appreciate you for watching wherever you might be watching us from. Thank you. And also I want to go ahead and just jump over to the news section here. I'm going to share another page. My hair is all frizzy. I just got out of the shower earlier. Tried to calm it all out, but it just kind of went boop, took off. So let's present another page. I'm going to show you some things about what Dr. Roberts is up to. And is that it? I think so, maybe. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to go down through here. See, I signed up for a bunch of these different organizations so that I can stay up to date on what they're thinking, folks. So let's go right here to the Heritage Foundation. The next big thing that Dr. Roberts has signed on to, he has signed on to this, bring on the Convention of States. He wants to cause this, he is calling this so that they can implement their views through a Convention of States and have it apply to the entire country. If you don't think a convention of state, you may think, let me just say it like this. You may think that a convention of states, if you study a little bit about it, that it's restricted to only certain issues that are brought before it by all the states. However, it's a simple matter for those delegates, those people sent to that convention of states to go, we're going to add this too. So, no, I'm kind of leery of the Convention of States, just a little bit. And then Heritage forms a task force, national task force to combat anti-Semitism. That's fine. That's no, absolutely, but have to be careful of that conservative Christian nationalism viewpoint. Related, Heritage and Action Group helped to get anti-Semitic conference postponed. Okay. All right. Oversight. That's talking about transgender people again. As usual, Project 2025 training courses released. Training. The Presidential Academy, one of 4 pillars of the Project 2025, now offers 26 training videos to equip conservatives with the skills to succeed in the next conservative administration. Through the program, the conservative movement will be more prepared than ever before to take power on day 1, said Hugh Fike. Okay. And obviously, we've been looking at that. That's from Dr. Roberts. Okay, so let me jump back over now. We're going to stop sharing here. Again, jump back to the main screen, see what's going on over there. And then we're going to go back and take a look. Now we're going to go jump into Project 2025's Chapter 20. And that's on the Department of Veterans Affairs. This is, from my perspective, one of the most horrendous things I've ever seen. This whole document is, by the way. Present. Let's go here, go there, go to another window. Where are we? I must have dropped it down. Hold on a second. Let me get it back up. And let me go back to here. Okay, now I can share. All right, so this is the forward I had up just a minute ago. Chapter 20. So we're going to go in and look in Chapter 20 for certain words. This is on the Department of Veterans Affairs. It was written by Brooks D. Tucker. And I'm going to use my little search magnifying glass up here in the corner and look for gender. And you can see there's one reference to gender down through here. VHA, needed reforms. Listen closely. Rescind all departmental clinic policy directives that are contrary to principles of conservative governance, starting with abortion services and gender reassignment surgery. Neither align with service-connected conditions that will warrant VAs providing this type of clinical care, and both follow the less pernicious trend of abusing the role of government to further its own agenda. There is so much crap in this. It's disgusting, folks. It really is. It's disgusting to see this, because veterans age, and as they age and deal with things in their lives, they go to the VA, get their care. I mean, if they get the flu, they get the flu shot. I mean, that's not the flu shot. I mean, that didn't align with their service-connected condition, did it? How about Viagra? In some cases, it did. That's true, but not in all cases. No, what about, orthopedics? Just get older and you need some help getting around, or need something, the technology to help you get there. Really, not everything that we go to the VA for is service-connected. As a matter of fact, a large percentage of it is not. However, it's still the mandate to take care of the veterans who have served their nation honorably. And to do that, you've got to take care. You got to live up to Abraham Lincoln's statement about taking care of all of our veterans, including their families, immediate families. So you can't go in there and just say align with service-connected conditions that would warrant VAs providing this type of clinical care, like a heart attack. If you got to have a heart attack and there's a medical facility, VA medical facility with emergency room, you can go there and they'll take care of you. Okay? They'll make sure that you get the care that you need. Was it service-connected? No, not normally. So what they're saying is, with this, they want to do a couple of things inside VA. They want to strip out all the care that is not service-connected. All of it. That's what they're saying right here. If they can draw this line, over abortion services and gender reassignment surgeries, guess what's next? Everything veterans rely on for their health care over the span of their entire lives. This will affect every veteran in the nation who gets their care through VA. If they can do this and stop abortion services and gender reassignment surgeries, which they don't provide right now anyway, if you didn't know that, on the basis that it's not service connected, then what's next? What's next? Your flu shots? Getting your labs done because you have a cold? Going into, emergency care or something like that? Getting something immediate that you need because, you've had a headache for 5 days and it won't go away? Those aren't service connected, not generally. So they're looking at, and this is just an opening salvo, folks, because they want to strip out everything that they don't think is service connected. If you're a veteran and you're getting your care through VA, whether you have service-connected disabilities or not, because not all veterans who get their care at the VA have a service-connected disability or condition. So they're going to try to strip it all from you. If you are a veteran getting your care through VA, this ought to piss you off. Because it's not just this. They're using this as a means to go after all people who are getting care there who are not service connected. That's what they're doing. All right, now let's look up for, let's go with DE&I. Anything on DE&I? Nope. Diversity, diverse, nothing on diverse. Let's go with LGBT. Nope, nothing on LGBT. Okay, we got the gender stuff out of the way. Let me go with sex. Nothing on sex. What else? What else can we look for? Well, abortion, obviously, we've got that in there already one time. Oh, it's mentioned two. Let's go up one. Where's the next one? Okay. Okay, so here we go. Additionally, the current VA leadership is focusing very publicly on social equity and inclusion within departmental policy discussions toward ends that will affect only a small minority of the veterans who use the VA. So, fucking what? Aren't they worth taking care of too? Or is it just, we don't like that group right there, we'll not take care of them? Since when does that make any rational, reasonable sense to anyone? For the first time, VA is allowing access to abortion services, a medical procedure unrelated to military service. Now, see here, they did it again right here. They will attempt to cut funding across the whole of the VA if the services provided are not service connected. If there is no service connection to what you are experiencing right now in your life, that heart attack, to hell with you, because you're just going to have to go find another way to get your care taken care of somewhere else. Or that flu that you're dealing with right now, or any of those things. Those aren't service connected. So they're going to try to strip out all of that funding for all of it. If you don't believe that's the case, they've stated it here, and they will do that. Whether it's done in the first term or next 4 years after that or whatever, they will try to strip out funding across VA. Just because, they're associating these right now. They're scapegoating a certain group of people so that they can get the other things that they want. This is only just the beginning, folks. If we let Dr. Roberts and the Heritage Foundation and this entire panoply over here of conservative people and organizations get their way, then this nation will not be what you and I know it as. And it will impact every American in the nation. That's what they want, folks. All right. Anyway, yeah, that pisses me off. Oh my God, does it ever? So let me see what other words can we look up in here. Let's go with equity again, because that one seemed to trigger some comments. Social. Let's go with social. Just try that one out. Social is mentioned 2 times. Let's see where the next reference to social is located. Social workers. Okay, now let's go with equity. Equity is just mentioned once, like we mentioned before. Let's go with inclusion. Inclusion is mentioned once, as we said before already. Let me go with minorities, M-I-N-O-R-I. Yeah, see right here, this is the same thing we read just a minute ago. Toward ends that will affect only a small minority of veterans who use the VA. If you can't see that for what it really is, don't take care of that group over there. Even though it's just a handful of them, don't take care of that group of veterans because, there's only a handful of them. Really? Really? Jeez, my God. Okay, let me see. Okay. And this is just full of shit because I'm right here. Let me just read this to you really quickly. The current VA leadership team of Biden appointees has adopted some of their predecessors' government processes. However, they have not sustained the previous administration's commitment to a genuine veteran-centric philosophy. Yes, they have. I interact with VA all the time in all kinds of different ways. And VA has been good about this, okay? Veteran-centric. Most notably, with respect to delivery of healthcare, and harbor a bias toward expanding the unionized federal employee workforce that has not always been aligned with a focus on veteran-centric care. While that may be true to a certain extent, there are some issues. Obviously, you got a massive organization, and people get stuck in their ways. But the push that I see across the country, and I'm saying this from some experience because I've visited at least 85% of all the VA facilities in the major VA medical facilities in the nation, all 4 lower 48 states. I haven't been to Hawaii or Alaska yet. to check them out. But I've been to them in person. And I can tell you that there is a veteran-centric care process. It's very veteran-centric. And you know how we can tell? Not just my stories anecdotally. Satisfaction rates are high across all veteran demographics. Take it and leave it, whatever you want to do. I don't care. That's just the way it is. VA has been good to a lot of people. So we'll leave it at that. And we'll jump back over to my other screen. And I'm glad some people are watching. Got one comment up here. Equity for me and not for thee. Yay, Junia. Yeah, that's what that little group is. You know, that's what they were talking about. They say, this is a small group of people. Why are we catering to this small group of people? Well, look, they're veterans, aren't they? Really? Come on. Holy shit, folks. Jeez. Anyway, I'm going to call it a day. This is the plan. This is a plan that I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking about putting together some short little scripted, basically, programs around each of the chapters in Project 2025 that have words that attack, you know, that small group of people that they don't like, where they've scapegoated them or attacked a group of people. I'm thinking about doing that, but, you know, we'll see how that turns out. I'm looking forward to making something like that happen. I think we do need something out there. So with that in mind, I am going to go out and call it a great day. Come back this evening at 6 p.m. Eastern or 5 Central. Come back in and we'll do it again, folks, and have a great one. Let me go down here and hit this.